The hills of West Virginia resound with the sounds of Golden Blue football.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Now let's bring on the Mountaineers. Goes around about the 50 to 10 to 5. A touchdown, West Virginia. He did it.
He did it. Patrick White. Touchdown, Tavon Austin.
The Don Nehlen's Mountaineers enjoy walking in where angels fear to tread.
I think you think that these guys are going to fall over dead for you. Well, I got news for you. They're going to punch you right in the mouth. It's Mountaineer pride.
Nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but West Virginia football. West Virginia football.
We've no doubt tonight they shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue. Not this night.
They've done it. They've done it. A perfect season. And the Mountaineers, for the first time in history, undefeated and untied.
Don Nehlen and his Mountaineers, for the second time, have finished a regular season with an unblemished mark.
Ain't no stopping the Golden Blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome into another live stream here on the Country Roads webcast. February 5th edition here, coming to you on February signing day. Of course, the kind of more traditional national signing day from years past. Of course, since the early signing day started happening in December, that's kind of when most of your signings come in, but you still usually do get a handful or so, and West Virginia brings in several today. So we're going to talk about the players that were signed, some of which we kind of knew about and expected, and then were a couple of surprises as well mixed in there. But we'll talk about each of the ones that were added to the class here that will be coming in over the summer. And joining this WVU football roster, which if you haven't had a chance to check it out, hopefully you saw my roster update I put out on the channel earlier today. You kind of can see where things stand heading into the spring before some of the guys that you'll see in this class are added over the summer and some other transfers are added over the summer. And then, of course, we'll continue to update that roster as that unfolds. But how about knowing some of those players ahead of time that are coming in? We can always stay up to date on that with the recruits, whether they be the junior college ones or of the high school variety. West Virginia adding players from both of those ranks here on February signing day. So that's what I'm going to get into, and momentarily I'll talk about those names. But if you are in here live, I know doing this early morning on a midday, I've got to head off to work myself here in a little bit. Some others may be at work also, but hopefully you'll have a chance to watch it on a playback if you're not watching it live. But whether you're watching live or after the fact on that playback, just be sure to hit the thumbs up button on the video. Take a second, just click that little thumbs up, give the video a like. It helps us a ton, helps us find more Mountaineer football fans like yourself. And if you are a Mountaineer football fan, be sure you're subscribed to the channel, where we'll continue to cover the WVU football roster as it unfolds leading into the start of the Rich Rod 2.0 era here in 2025. If you are in here live, got any thoughts though, throw them in the chat. I'll try and catch up on those comments before I head out. Like I said, won't stay with you too long. Got to head off to work myself here in a bit, but wanted to update you guys on the signings today. So with no further ado, let's get into it. So let's pull up here on the social media the announcements first. Let's start here. Where was I going to start? There we are. I believe this was, well, this wasn't the first one. This wasn't one I wanted to pull up, but nonetheless, we'll just start here then. Keenan Eck. Of course, this is one that we kind of expected, that was already kind of previously announced his commitment. Coming in, we knew he was edge rusher. He's going to play the bandit position. And that's one thing I like about these announcements that came out of these signings today from WVU, is they announced the position they're going to be playing as well. Multiple guys going to be playing that bandit position, which is nice, because if you saw that roster update I did today, that was one where you did have a couple of guys, but then it was really, three, I think, redshirt freshmen and true freshmen there making that up. So adding some experience there is nice, and getting some good edge rushers. And you guys know I like Keenan Eck. He's a super strong guy, really lean makeup there, and I think he's going to be a good pass rusher for the Mountaineers. So Keenan Eck is one that joined WVU. And then we also had the announcement of, let's see who else we got here. Here we are. Adam Tomczyk, which this is the one, and you guys have probably heard me tease this one for seems like weeks now, because I kept, hearing that he was going to commit, and then I guess ultimately once it got late enough in the process, just deciding to wait to make the announcement on signing day. But if the last stream that I did talking about commits, I think when we were talking about Marshawn Oxley, this was the other one that I was kind of expecting to come and had been expecting for a while, and then finally do get it. I get Adam Tomczyk, who will be on the defensive line, and you guys also may remember that's one that we reported on for a while when we were reporting on transfers and such, because there were JUCO players visiting as well. He was one that was a past visitor, so, that pretty much clears that list off. Dallas Holmes, I think, was more a case of West Virginia deciding to bring in some other tight ends than deciding to bring him in, but you do land Adam Tomczyk there. He's one of the signings announced today. He'll be on the defensive line, and momentarily I'll pull up the signings list so you guys can get a full look at this 2025 class. And yes, these JUCO players are actually, considered in the kind of recruiting class with the high school players versus being considered in with the transfers. For whatever reason, that's how they quantify that. So that's why you're seeing these JUCO players kind of announce their signings today, the ones that didn't come in and enroll early anyways. And another one of those is at the bandit position as well. And that's one that we talked about on a recent stream. The kind of most recent commitment that we knew about is Marshawn Oxley, also coming to play the bandit position here. And I think that he is a very much a steal of a pass rusher to get as late in the process and to kind of come as unexpectedly as it did for West Virginia. I really like the pickup there of Marshawn Oxley playing the bandit spot, so we got that one as well. And then we had, of course, some others that I think were more well-known and kind of more expected that we talked about previously. One of those being Armani Weaver, who these are kind of from the Rod West connection, because these were guys that were previously committed to Appalachian State. Both of them extremely fast guys, as we talked about, and both were athletes. Both could have played wide receiver or defensive back. I'll pull up the 247 profiles of each one of these guys here momentarily as well. But Armani Weaver is going to be playing wide receiver at WVU, as it was confirmed here in the announcement, coming from South Carolina. You get him. And then, of course, we got to talk about his teammate as well, that we've talked about in the past, that I think is going to be really good. He could have played receiver also. He's going to play defensive back, and that is, of course, Kamarius Bomar from the same high school there in South Carolina, and his announcement confirming that he will play defensive back. I know when we previously talked about these two, Weaver was the one I'd heard was going to play receiver, but I hadn't had confirmation yet on if Bomar would be playing receiver or defensive back. Looks like he's going to start off as defensive back. Both of these guys, very fast, very nice pickups, and thankful for the Rod West connection that's paying off in recruiting already, and I kind of expected it to. He has a great recruiting prowess as a coach there. So you get Kamarius Bomar and Armani Weaver, the high school teammates that we had talked about previously. And then two of these, one of these definitely a big surprise. The other one is one that I hadn't really discussed previously, that being this one of Philip Bowser, coming from Youngstown, Ohio, to join West Virginia as an offensive lineman in this class. He comes in. But the one that was a big surprise that I don't think really a lot of people saw coming, I certainly didn't, was the commitment of another linebacker, which is big. West Virginia needs depth there at the linebacker position, and you get one from Hoover, Alabama, which if you guys are like me, when I was, growing up, middle school, I think maybe even some in high school, there was a show on, was that VH1 or MTV? I can't remember, about the Hoover High School football team, funny enough. And so he's coming from that high school where that show took place there in Hoover, Alabama. But a big linebacker, prototypical size, Cameron Torbor, kind of the surprise today on signing day would be there in my opinion. So let's talk a bit about each of these, and let's go kind of in reverse order here, and let's talk about Torbor since he was the big surprise. Let's pull up his 247's page, because like I said, when I say prototypical size, 6'3", 242 pounds coming in as a linebacker. And although he's not rated on 247, he racked up over 100 tackles last season, guys, which is a ton when you're playing in high school. You don't play as many games. And Hoover, as you probably can note there from what I talked about there, them having their own TV show, is a well-renowned high school program as well. So I think this is a good pickup for West Virginia, probably with the high ceiling there, adding Cameron Torbor, 6'3", 242. And then we can go to Philip Bowser here, who is joining the West Virginia offensive line, which is completely, revamped for the most part. But he'll be coming in there as a true freshman at 6'5", 265 out of Youngstown, Ohio. He's rated as a 3-star there on 247 with the 86 grade. Top 100 player in the state of Ohio, top 115 offensive lineman in the country on the inside offensive lineman there. So he'll be in the interior. Philip Bowser there, his 247 profile. And then a couple of the other guys here, of course, Marshawn Oxley, who I think we've talked about recently on another stream, but 6'3", 235, coming from Hutchinson Community College, but originally from California. I think all these edge rusher and bandits West Virginia added today are from California, funny enough. Not rated on 247 currently. But like I said, I think that some of that you'll see some guys not be rated late in the process, especially from the junior college ranks. But I think that he was a steal. I really do like Marshawn Oxley. And then, of course, Keenan Eck, one that we've talked about in the past multiple times because his commitment was announced, a month or two ago now at this point. 6'5", 235 from Citrus College from California there as well. But you look at his rating, and he was rated a 3-star 87. So that's extremely high. If you don't know how the ratings work, once you get to 90, that puts you into the 4-star territory. So he's a borderline 4-star, and he was rated as the number 2 edge player in all of JUCO and a top 25 junior college recruit in the entire country. So, Keenan Eck is going to be a good addition to that bandit position for West Virginia, and I think he's going to compete there. And then you have, of course, the one that I had been expecting for a while and we had been waiting on finally becomes official, and that's Adam Tomczyk, coming from Cerritos College, also out of California, 6'3", 225. Going to be a good player coming off the edge, I think. Another case of one that's not rated there on 247, but I do like the addition of Adam Tomczyk adding to that defensive line room. And then, of course, the 2 speedsters that I discussed that come over, previous Appalachian State commits that come to West Virginia now, Armani Weaver, which, funny enough, listed as a cornerback on his recruiting page, but he's coming to play receiver, as we just saw confirmed from Anderson, South Carolina there. 87 grade, top 25 player in the state of South Carolina, and he was a top 100 cornerback recruit just to show his athleticism. And like I said, great speed for him and great speed for Bomar as well, which we'll pull up his 247 page to round this out. And then I just want to pull up the full signings list here with our CRW signing tracker to wrap things up here. Like I said, won't stay with you guys too long, but if you got any thoughts on any of these guys, throw them in the chat. I'll try and catch up on the comments before I wrap up here in a few. But Bomar, 5'10", 180, also from the same school there, Westside in Anderson, South Carolina. Like I said, both these guys teammates. Also, like I said, an athlete, could have played either side. He'll be playing defensive back. 88 grade, so nearly a 4-star there. Top 20 player in the state of South Carolina and a top 40 athlete nationally, according to 247. Nearly a top 30 athlete in the composite and a top 15 player in the state there. So both of these really good additions, especially getting them as late as West Virginia did, adding Bomar and Weaver. So those are the ones that come in today on the February signing day. So let's pull up now our complete signings list where we've added their names, and we can kind of take a look through this now. The addition of Kamarius Bomar and Armani Weaver, both out of South Carolina, a wide receiver and a defensive back. I've updated their position now. They were previously listed as athletes on this list, but now that it's been confirmed in the official release from WVU, we can do that here as well. Philip Bowser, 6'5", 265, an offensive lineman out of Ohio. Cameron Torbor, the linebacker that we talked about, just prototypical size that West Virginia doesn't get linebackers that are really that size and stature a lot. I mean, you think of Trotter last year, kind of close to this, but especially coming in as a freshman at 6'3", 242 and over 100 tackles his last season of high school. I like Torbor a lot. I think that's an underrated addition. Then you get 2 additions to the bandit position, which I think is something that we needed if you saw the roster update I put out on the channel earlier today. And, you can tell they're kind of what their frame and stature that they're going for there is Oxley 6'3", 235, Keenan Eck 6'5", 235. So they like those guys to have that speed and that bend off the edge there at that bandit spot. Both out of California, and then also Adam Tomczyk out of California. So funny enough, adding 3 JUCO players all out of California there, all similar in size as Tomczyk, 6'3", 225. So those are the additions that West Virginia added here on kind of the traditional signing day, the February signing day, if you will. They joined the other ones that came in on early signing day here, which I'll scroll back through the list for some of you guys that may need to be kind of refreshed up on some of these names, that some of which are already on campus. And for the ones that are on campus, you can find that out in the roster update I put on the channel earlier this morning. If you haven't checked that out already, please do watch that video. I think some good info there, and we'll continue to release those roster updates as all of these guys that we're talking about here will be coming in over the summer as each one enrolls. We'll throw out a roster update to add them to the roster, and same goes for some of the other transfers that West Virginia's added that'll be enrolling over the summer. Of course, those don't get talked about today because, like I said, this is high school and junior college players, but just to refresh you guys on a couple of those transfers that haven't made it in that'll be coming over the summer, those would be right here. William Reed and Jeff Weimer, the offensive lineman and the wide receiver, should be coming in over the summer as well. So you're looking at already, 9, I think that makes 9 or either 9 or 10 more additions that West Virginia will be adding over the summer to the roster. And let's not rule out, of course, other transfers that could happen with that spring portal window, depending on who departs after spring ball and things like that. So there'll be plenty to update on this roster moving forward, and I'll continue to keep it up to date with you here on the CRW. But I appreciate you guys being here for this live stream. Just wanted to give you guys a quick recap of the players the West Virginia signed today and the February signing day, and I'm excited about all of those additions. I'm really excited about the roster that's forming for 2025 overall. But let's get to some of your all's comments that are in here live. Like I said, no, not as many people will be in here live with this being kind of middle of the day on a weekday, especially early in the day, but a lot of people will watch it on the playback, and I appreciate that. And if you do that, you can still hit that thumbs up button, help us out. And if you didn't get to share your thoughts in the chat live, share them in the comments. I appreciate those as well, and I'll try and respond there in text form. Trey Edwards says, watching in the middle of class, hashtag no excuses. And that's why you're a Trey member, Trey Edwards. Super dedicated, man. Super dedicated Mountaineer fan. If you want to be like Trey there and become a channel member, you can support us that way by hitting the join button below. Helps keep this mic recording and that camera rolling. You get bonus content, including, they got to watch me actually record that WVU football roster update. They get some behind-the-scenes content and a lot of fun stuff there. And if you can't get enough WVU football content, that's definitely up your alley, because in season you'll get player grades, snap counts, depth chart updates, all kinds of good stuff there. But appreciate you always, Trey. Let's see here. What else we got here? Devil Dog 44, appreciate you tuning in as well, man. Says the culture thing is the most important thing to return WVU to national relevance. Yeah, and you're already seeing a lot of evidence of that. Some of the videos they've put out, I think it's fun to see how hard they're working versus, in the previous regime at this time, we'd be seeing cookouts and team bonding activities and such. I definitely like the way things are shaping up in this culture much better. And I have a friend that's brother is on the team. I don't want to give out any names because they may not want it to be known and such, but he's even stated, and I think is what we ought to be expected during this tour of duty, that it's the hardest he's ever practiced in his life at any level of football that he's played. And he's, of course, been playing his whole life now, playing collegiately there at WVU. He's a wide receiver on the team there. So just to let you guys know, those videos and stuff they're putting out on social media is no joke. Players really are puking. It really is tough. It really is a tour of duty, as previous players that have played under Rich Rod have termed it, and that's what they're doing it for. They want to do it for conditioning purposes so they can run their up-tempo system, but they also want to weed out the players that they feel like can't make it and can't fit this hard-edge culture. But the culture change is evident, Devil Dog, and I'm excited about it. Dime Drawer 4, appreciate you always, man. Says we have some solid guys coming in, but better than that, we have some dogs in this group. Couldn't agree more. Dime Drawer 4. Ernie B says top 40 class according to ESPN, but hopefully turns out to be even better than that. Let's go. Wow. Let's go Mountaineers. Appreciate you sharing that tidbit, Ernie B. Nice to hear. So doing a great job, already. We really like the performance on early signing day, but I guess some of these additions here are really grading out well as well, and I'll be interested to see where West Virginia ranks in the Big 12 when it's all said and done. I think they were in that top half already prior to today, so we'll see how that shakes out there. I'm going to see if they have any. I'm going to scroll social media really quick, make sure they don't have any updates of any Big 12 rankings or anything like that. Let me see if I can search that. That'll be the last thing I'll share with you guys. Then I will hop off here soon because, like I said, I do have to head to work here in just a few. But I did want to get this update out really quickly because I'm not expecting any other signings to come in for West Virginia. But if they do, by chance, I'll try and do an update video early in the morning or maybe another stream later tonight. But I think this will be it for WVU. So 247 has WVU at 6th. So very much in that top half of the conference right now. And I think this has the new ones here from today's signing day accounted for. So let me share this. According to 247's rankings here, the Mountaineers have the number 6 rated class with 31 commits, average ranking of 86.72, and then the total score there 203.29, only behind Utah, Colorado, who doesn't have a ton but just has some really high rated ones, Baylor, Kansas State, and TCU. So great job by the Mountaineers overall, especially to close this out strong. And I think when you add into that the transfers that West Virginia have brought in, which I know there's been a lot of argument made about how some of them are being extremely underrated when you look at transfer portal rankings and such, and I'd agree with that because I think there's some really gems in the transfer class. I think you combine this high school and JUCO editions with the transfer editions, and I really like the overhaul of the roster and how things are shaping up for 2025, guys. So But that's it. That's all I had for you guys. Just want to do a quick signing day recap. Like I said, wouldn't be a long stream, wouldn't be with you long. Know some people are watching on the playback. I appreciate you guys tuning in that way, and I hope you get a chance to share your thoughts in the comments if you can, if you didn't get a chance to share them here live in the chat. But I'll be back to chat with you guys live again in the near future, and there'll be plenty to talk about in regards to this 2025 West Virginia football roster and happenings throughout this offseason, and we'll keep you up to date on them here on the CRW. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.